Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah. Melanated! Welcome to another episode of my review slash recap of Iyanla Fix My Life. As always, I'm doing a get ready with me, so you're gonna see how I got this look. So today's episode is dealing with Philando Castile's fiance, the woman who was in the car with him during the shooting, Diamond Reynolds. If you would like to see how I got this look, please continue watching. Okay, hey guys, so just to get the ball rolling, I went on ahead and already did my primers. I have my face primer and I have my eyeshadow primers on already, as well as I did the Jackie Aina trick and used a little bit of the Laura Mercier on my forehead to help reinforce the primer there to keep back the oil. So beginning of this episode, we have Diamond Reynolds, who is the 4-year girlfriend of Philando Castile. Let me tell you that this episode had me boohooing from the beginning to the very end. I was so emotional throughout it. I didn't realize, I never thought about Philando's girlfriend. And that's the God's honest truth. And part of me as a Black woman feels terrible that I never thought about her. I never thought about her or her daughter, and they were in the car. In the car. So not only did they witness it, they have their own level of trauma to contend with. And this is a really interesting side of the Philando Castile story. Philando Castile and Tamir Rice, their stories, like Tamir Rice. Ugh. Okay, so let's get back to Philando Castile. So he is in a an open carry state. I don't remember what state it is. And he and his girlfriend are leaving the grocery store with the baby girl sitting in the back seat. And they get pulled over. And from the cop's handy cam, it shows that they get pulled over because the cop has reason to believe that they were involved in some robberies recently. And so he pulls them over under the guise of them having a broken taillight when they don't have a broken taillight. So Philando then, license and registration, right? So Philando then reaches into the armrest, he reaches into the glove compartment, and he does not have those items in those places. So he realizes at that point that he is going to have to go into his back pocket to get his wallet and his registration, but he lets the officer know that he has a gun. And that he does have a license to carry a concealed weapon. And the police officer starts to yell, "Don't reach for it, don't reach for it." And he's like, "I'm not reaching for it, I'm getting my boom, 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 boom," shoots him. So as soon as Philando alerts the officer to the fact that he has a gun, the officer immediately gets scared, withdraws his gun, and then starts yelling words to make everyone believe that somehow he's under the impression that Philando's going for his gun. At that point, he's just scared. He freaked out. He's not even listening to what Philando's saying. And I guess he wants Philando to stop moving, but he doesn't say stop moving. He just says stop going for the gun. Philando is not going for the gun. I can't. Let me just get to the point because I will talk about this scenario forever. Once the cop has shot Philando, she then busts out her phone and goes on Facebook Live so that he doesn't shoot her. Like, her tactic of going on Facebook is a way to get everyone knowing what actually happened, so that if anything else happens, she has like video witness to what's going on. That trauma of watching your beloved die. Not even like doing anything wrong, just routine traffic pullover, boom, boom, he's dead. No one's thought like, oh, what happened to her afterward? They didn't just like set her free. I'm sure she had to go through booking. They took her daughter into one space. They took her into another space. I'm sure they like questioned her. Like, there's this whole probably 24 to 48 hours after this incident occurred where she's just like in police custody, doesn't know what's going on, doesn't know where her daughter is, doesn't know what the outcome of this is going to be. Like none of this, just frightened and all these things. And when everything comes out and when everything is said and done, the support that her and her daughter need, she's not given. You know, the police department never reached out to her, and she does not know how to live her life without Philando. And that is the hardest thing to watch her do. She's on the show to ask Iyanla to help her figure out a way to live her life without Philando, to forgive those around her, to not be so angry, to be the best mother she can be in this situation, because her daughter did go through the trauma as well. They're both suffering, and there's seemingly no support for them. Could you imagine Your 3 or 4-year-old baby girl witnessing somebody die by the hands of the police, somebody that you guys all loved, your family unit, her father, you know, like, whether or not Philando was the little girl's biological father is neither here nor there. He was the man who was raising her, and like, just all gone. That trauma alone is devastating. Iyanla's trying to get her to acknowledge the fact that, yes, Philando is gone, and Diamond has been counting the days since he's been gone. She's counted like 460 something days since Philando has not been there with her. She's having a hard time letting go and moving on, which, like, how can you even? Not only do you have it of witnessing your beloved die, you know, witnessing their death, but also being in the car when it happened. So you have your own round of trauma to go through, to deal with. I couldn't even imagine. So Iyanla's doing her best to help her to see her value beyond Philando, see the value of her and her daughter and what that means to them now without Philando, and trying to give her an idea that yes, she can live a healthy life. She's just going to have to really work hard at figuring out what's going to work for her and what's going to send her forward. But one of the things Iyanla thinks is a good idea would be to her to meet another person who has gone through similar trauma. And so the person that she has is Trayvon Martin's mother. The one thing I did find very, very valuable is that Iyanla humanized the police officer. This man does have to live with what he's done for the rest of his life. I think it's very important to humanize the police officer, because we can be mad at him. Absolutely. I'm not saying be mad. I'm not saying forgive. I'm not saying all that stuff. You're allowed to feel however you want to feel. But my thing is, and this is something that I always strive to do on my channel, is to make people human and try to find the humanity in everyone. That officer killed somebody who wasn't a threat to him. And we can say that the reason why that officer probably thought that Philando was a threat was because he was a black man. Definitely. Do I agree with that? Absolutely. He is absolutely 100% liable for his actions. Because of the race issues that we have in this country, that teaches everyone that black people are dangerous, specifically and especially black men. We have cops that are on the road who are predisposed to take the most lethal form of action when it comes to black men than any other race of men. He was scared, and he killed an innocent man due to that fear and due to that underlying current of racism that we have in this country. And he's going to have to live with that. He's not sitting somewhere like George Zimmerman counting his money and being happy that he did what he did. I don't think so at all. I think that police officer ruined his entire life, and he knows that he has, and his entire family is ruined, and everything he owns is ruined. And I think that it's important to see him as a human. It's also super crazy to me that she's not getting the support from the police. I do not know, but I definitely do feel terrible for the fact that Miss Diamond hasn't been given support the same way that Philando's mother has been given the support. Because obviously she was actually in the car when it happened. So even if it isn't the same kind of support, it needs to be some kind of support. They traumatized her and her daughter. So Diamond then has a conversation with Sabrina, who's Trayvon Martin's mother, and they talk about, you know, moving forward and trying to do whatever they need to do for the community. Because I feel like Sabrina, Trayvon's mother, it's been 5 years, she's like actively in a movement, and I don't know that Diamond's in a place where she could necessarily be actively in a movement like that. Seeing as how she's a victim of that kind of police brutality, and she's still suffering from the loss and reeling from the pain. So she might not be in a place for that. I find it very interesting that Philando's mother wasn't there. So that leads me to believe that there might be some beef between them. So after she talks to Sabrina, and that's really good, we get some great insight and some talk about that, we move on to Iyanla talking to a police officer. She's talking to a retired police officer because she wants Diamond to be able to speak to a police officer, and she thinks that it'll be helpful and part of her healing. This police officer, I just felt like they put him in this position because he's really good at BSing. Like, there was nothing that he said besides his genuine shock that Diamond didn't get reached out to by the police, that all the energy of the apology for Philando's death went to his family and not her. I think that was the only real moment that police officer had. And Iyanla kept trying to like call him out on it, and he kept just dodging it. He was such a good dodger of the facts. He was there to blame the guilty officers. They need to take the training that they were given and implement it properly. Like saying that there's nothing wrong with the police and their training, that it's the way that the officers interpret that training. And I was like, sir, that's such a cop-out. Like, they didn't use their training correctly. Okay, so it's not the training's fault, it's that person's fault. Okay, but it's still happening. Like, black men are still being killed. And I know it's because they're not using the training properly. What? Sir. And so, like, Iyanla kept trying, but then I don't think she actually wanted to fight the guy because she could tell the police officer was going to play that game of like, oh no, I absolutely agree with you. However, this is what black people need to do. No, you're right, you're right, you're right. But however, this is what black people need to do, and this is what the police officers are doing wrong in those specific instances. Nothing's wrong with the training that they're getting. They're just not doing it right. And you're just like, okay, sir. Okay. Sabrina's hair was laid. I mean, I feel like her hair was the definition of laid in my personal opinion. It was doing like a swoop up and then like a bouffant with like a bang back into a ponytail, like a swoop. I mean, it was just so cute. It was a definition of laid. I was like, ooh, her hair is laid and slayed, girl. Slicked back into the ponytail. Just whoop. So good. Oh, speaking of hair, what do you think? In the end, Diamond was able to have the conversation with the police officer, and I don't know how much that's going to help her in the long run, but I do think that it's important that she gets the help to be able to move past Philando, and not necessarily forget him, but like let it go, because I can only imagine when you found the perfect person and you think you're going to live the rest of your life with them, and then it doesn't happen, and it happens to where they're taken from you so violently and you're witness to it, and then on the back end you don't get the support you need. It just breaks my heart. And I think that from this bit with Iyanla, she has taken some of the things that she needs and she's moving forward.
Oh my god, you guys, I forgot to mention the tapping. So Miss Iyanla and Diamond went through, it looks like a holistic, sort of healing process referred to as tapping, where you say mantras and at the same time you touch different places in your body. I imagine those places might be like some kind of chakra situation, but it kind of feeds that positivity, that energy into your body, and it looked so refreshing and healing. And Iyanla and Miss Diamond and some other lady went through it, and I was like, what is this magic? It looks great.
So Miss Diamond has taken the information that she's gotten from Iyanla to help move forward. She ended up being given $800,000 from the city, but nothing from the police. Like, no one from the police department has reached out to her regarding this. And I think that this showing, this airing of it will hopefully get something done. But that police officer, boy, he was just bobbing and weaving, dipping and diving, trying to like defend the police department at the same time telling the victims that they need to get support and need help. He told her, Diamond, that it's people like her, Eric Gardner's mother, who he happens to be good friends with, and like Trayvon Martin's mother, who he knows and has a relationship with. It's up to them to try to get some healing to the community. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's like you're trying to make the women feel valid and validated by the work that they're doing, but they're only doing the work because your constituency isn't doing their work. He was so slippery to me. I have to say that I really like this healing house. Out of the 3 places that I've seen them using, the 3 different healing house locations, I really enjoy this one. I think it's so beautiful, open, and airy. Okay, you guys, so that is the finished look. I hope this episode was a little bit more cohesive for you. I don't think I explained things very well in the last episode, and I apologize for that. I mean, this episode, again, like I said, it broke my heart. I boohooed from the very beginning to the very end. Just mad at myself because I forgot about her, and just mad at the way things work, that we just forgot about Diamond. Like, she's suffering and you can see it. And I'm so happy she came on the show to take that step towards being a better mother and a better woman and a happier person, and to see her life without Philando, which I know has got to be very, very difficult. And I could just imagine how her and her daughter are suffering. And I love the fact that she's here to get healing for herself so that she could be a better parent for her daughter. That's it. You guys, if you would like to join this conversation, if you have anything to say down below, please go ahead and leave a comment. Everything that I use on my face will be in the description box with a link. And as always, remember to be you, be true, and find your place. Bye.